Wololos didn't come out in first and that I was wrong. But in fact, you're speaking of Team Ukraine.
Yeah.
So don't mind me.
Calm down, Connor. Well, yeah, Ukraine, a team of superstars to say the very least. Obviously, you all know them. We don't need to go over that roster, but we're going to see it anyway. Before that, bracket. This is how everything's going to be running down. You've already seen the first 4 best of 3s up today, as Harry and Tom have been covering them as well here live from Barcelona. And we're going to be taking 2 for ourselves this nice afternoon. Obviously, big games ahead. Ukraine just taking down Big earlier. I think that's quite an important matchup to look at as well. Space Soldiers losing a map to No Reg, which is, I think, again, No Reg, a team that surprised me coming into this event and actually being able to get out of the groups. But that's pretty good getting a map up against Space Soldiers. I definitely commend them for that. But Space Soldiers, obviously, on the other stream, going to be going up against Envious. The minor rematch, and a big one at that.
That's a massive game, I think, especially because I'm going to, then again reference that interview with Happy from HLTV, whereby he said, we just played the EU minor. We had no real solution to playing a team like Space Soldiers, and we just felt as though on an individual level that we were shaky. That's kind of been the sentiment from some of the players from Space Soldiers here at this event. Not necessarily doubting their team or their capabilities, but rather their individual performances and their grit when it comes down to the most important of moments. So that BO3 is going to be lights out, I would argue. If you've got 2 monitors, get them both up. Certainly worth your time. But going back into Ukraine versus Wololos, 2-0 over top of Big. That, I would have expected maybe to be more of a score line similar to Space Soldiers No Reg, because that is a team that I give a lot of credibility to, Big.
For sure.
Although sometimes, right, on an individual level, we do watch a couple of players maybe linger behind, and then the win just can't necessarily come through off of the carry. But I definitely always feel as though they have the resilience to win in BO3s, and yet here they fall to a mix.
I mean, inconsistent as ever, make the legend spot as a major, and then, stuff like this. It happens with Big, and we see a lot of teams in that place. Another team, I think, or another matchup was slightly interesting was the Fnatic game earlier on, if anyone caught that as well. That was versus Russia. And Fnatic, a team that had their struggles yesterday, they lost to Limitless, which was crazy, only came out in 3rd place in the group, hence why they were playing Russia in their first matchup. And Russia got stomped, to say the very least, 16-5, 16-4. Not the kind of scoreline you would predict as well from, again, another strong lineup of superstars, to say the very least. And now that we've got Ukraine stepping in, hopefully we won't see that kind of scoreline. I think Wololos is definitely a team that can take them all the way to 3 maps, but again, this is anyone's game. Who shows up on the day?
Yeah, I mean, what Wololos already have in their pocket is the fact that they can, at any given moment, still come back from matches, right? If you guys missed their performance in the group stage, they were down 12-3 in their opening game, and they bring it up into a tie. After top of that, we then had, of course, their follow-up matchup where, again, they're down 12-3, and they come back with a 16-14 victory. So, incredible game. You know what will be incredible as well? This player introduction. We're going to hand this one over to Tanya on the stage so that you guys can get a good eye of the teams that are to come.
Welcome back to this main stage of WESG 2017. 2 more games to go today, and personally I can't wait to watch the next one. This matchup is crazy, Spain versus Ukraine, so let's meet the very first team. Wololos, Spain. And now let's welcome today's opponents, the guys who knows how to achieve the victory. So let's welcome Team Ukraine. Both teams feel confident enough to play here on the stage. They're experienced enough for that, so I wish them good luck, and we go over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Tonya. Team Ukraine, honestly, intimidating as they walk into the stage there. I almost thought that Zeus was going to start shadowboxing. If you're on the side of Spain, of course, you have confidence in guys like Lowell and Mixwell, who maybe have a bit more of an international presence than the rest of the lineup, and then you have a team like Ukraine where, well, Got a couple of you got yourself a major winner in there, Hugo.
You do indeed, and some very near major winners as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Simple being probably the one I would look to be the man to watch out for. Major finalist at the very least, and a very strong player individually. The firepower for that roster for sure, but. Of course, there's names across the entire board. I think one player I'm actually really looking forward to see how they perform in this matchup is going to be Soka for the side of Wololos. He was a guy that was so good on overpass just in the group stage games. I mean, we talked about him a lot. His aggression, his positioning was so clever. He was always getting into the backline, always being an issue against both teams he played, that being Space Soldiers and Big, that as you said just moments ago, they drew and won versus. So he is going to be the man to watch out for here. Hopefully, Lau will be able to have a performance as well. Again, while we look at Mixwell and Lau to be those kind of two more experienced players, I definitely say, well, Mixwell stood out, dropping 30 kills in the Space Soldiers match. The big match. I think Lau was a little further down the scoreboard than we would have expected or liked. This is where he needs to step up. He's definitely got the experience. He's definitely got the talent. We've seen that on the rosters he's played on. This is his chance to at least show it on the stage.
And I think that what makes this very, very interesting is the fact that Team Ukraine actually go ahead and pick Overpass as the opening map of the series. Yeah,
that's ballsy.
So the two games that I think had fantastic comebacks in for the side of Wololos actually then is going to be the choice of Ukraine. So I think that while we did watch Soker try and succeed with that positioning behind enemy lines by pushing up into the playgrounds, by getting up into the connector, and definitely putting a hindrance on any kind of an execution, best of luck trying to pull that off versus teams of this caliber.
For sure. That really does surprise me, though, because I would assume, again, I don't know, but I would assume that Wololos would have picked Overpass anyway. So Ukraine, yeah, maybe they want to play it, but why not just leave it to be picked? Because, judging by the performance yesterday, Wololos would surely go for that map once again. Their CT side was phenomenal. So big surprise, but maybe Ukraine are just trying to show confidence, show that they're ready for this matchup, and again, kind of just go, okay, fine, we'll play you on your best map. It doesn't matter. We're better than you. We will bring more talent. We'll be able to take this. And hey, judging by the way that we see Wololos' T side, if Ukraine start out on CT side, they start bringing the confidence, you never know what can happen. They could be a little more dominant than that of Space Soldiers or Big. I mean, both those teams got 12 rounds and a half. What if Ukraine get 15?
Yeah, very true. I think that what also is a very scary factor coming into this is that just individual level, right? Like, let's compare Wololos to Big, for example, the team that they're ultimately able to pull back that game from. Sure enough, you have a guy like Tabson who can any given moment just carry games. Kind of what Mixwell was doing on the other side for Spain, definitely putting himself as the forerunner in frags, but that's not going to be nearly as even keel when it comes to raw firepower between these lineups. Unfortunately for Spain, I feel like they're outclassed just 1-for-1 versus the entirety of Ukraine, and that's not meant to be disrespectful in any way, but rather the reality of the situation. These are fantastic players from Ukraine, and I always think that it's awesome to watch teams like Ukraine and Russia put together such competent lineups for these sorts of national events. There's always a maybe question mark around these sorts of events when certain people may not give any credibility to mixed teams, but look at the amount of mixed teams that actually come out of the group stage for the event. I believe it was 5 out of 12, according to Mr. Joe Cardali, Tolkien fanatic. And so, it just goes to show that at any given time, you can create an actual competent lineup based on nationality. Even Spain, that to me is the biggest of surprises. Not only getting out of their group, but then topping it on over everything.
And here we have the vetoes. For those wondering how the format went, obviously Ukraine picking that ban of Cash, as they do. Na'Vi players are here, and ex-Na'Vi players, so no Cash for them. They never touched that map, and Nuke obviously got to be gone. That's a good decision. Don't want to play that against Na'Vi players again, and also, not as a mixed team, right? Wololos don't want to come into this game as a mix and be like, oh yeah, let's play the most tactically difficult map and hardest map to play as a mix and a pug on, but we'll see what it ends up on as the third, as we obviously talked about Overpass and Train going to be picked here. Surprising pick from Ukraine, but we'll see if it pays off for them again. If they're coming into this map confident and they start on CT side, anything can happen. We know Wololos' T side is frankly abysmal. It's their CT side that really pulls them back and makes them win games every single time we've seen it. Train, the pick for Wololos, and Inferno as a decider. I like this map pool.
Yeah, I would definitely reside you there. I always find that Inferno as the deciding map makes for some fantastic series, historically.
Do you think this is going to 3, though? I think that's the biggest question.
I think that's a big question. But I'm going to be inclined to say no.
Ooh. Why is that?
I just believe Ukraine will win in 2-0 fashion. I don't know if the starlight of Mixwell will shine through when it comes to facing off versus Ukraine. I would really love for it to. I think that they've already given us a very impressive showing, and I think that more importantly, they've qualified for China.
Yeah.
Right? Arguably, that is what matters most this weekend, and they did get that spot, and they did it in convincing fashion, so we certainly know that they have credibility in this core. But Ukraine on the other side, I'm just very intimidated by that team through and through. I mean, again, sure enough, they have that last-minute change where Angel drops out and Markelov is brought in. But we made this comparison yesterday in saying that those are two players that you can draw similarities between, and I don't think that Ukraine fell off by any means from it. Ukraine opened up their group with very convincing games, and I just have a gut instinct that they're going to come into this series and do exactly that. Lay down the law, try and get loose, and then just outclass some of the lesser opponents on the side of Wololos. Maybe Mixwell can step up, shut down those kinds of aggressions, and force Ukraine to play more respectful, whereby then the other players of Spain can then maybe be more comfortable, be more successful off of the back of that. But if Ukraine decide to just dominate and kind of, stranglehold the Spaniards, then I fear for them.
I mean, it certainly depends on the first map. It's just the overpass pick is just a big question mark to me. I honestly think Wololos have it in them to take overpass. I think when we go to train, even though it's their map pick, I just don't see that being realistic. And yeah, Inferno again, I just lean so heavily towards Ukraine, but it's such a question mark. I think I'm going to go with a ballsy prediction that Wololos could take it overpass. I think they, especially if they start on that CT side, kick things off with confidence, hold back Ukraine. I think it's certainly a possibility. So I'm going to say 3 maps just for fun, but I would agree in the sense that Ukraine are just coming into this one as a better team individually. And when you have a couple more pug-style teams, teams with less practice, like both these rosters have admitted to, it's definitely residing more in the favor of Ukraine, in terms of individual prowess. But either way, we have got some skill on Wololos. I think e-spor as well, a man to prove to be a very strong AWPer on this lineup as well. Mixwell picked it up a couple of times on the T side, if I remember back in Overpass, just in their group stage games. But it was e-spor playing that primary AWP, and I think that's a big surprise we've had at this event. Not only was e-spor playing primary AWP on that roster, but we also had a similar weird situation in another game. What was it? A group stage match where it was the Belgium game where we had UU AWPing over Twanu, and I think that was a big surprise. Yes, he's an AWPer, but Twanu's known for his AWPing, as is Mixwell known sometimes for his AWPing, not at the moment, or actually at the moment, he's just turned to the AWP role and Optic over Alu, but historically, while he said he doesn't like AWPing, that's what he's most known for in the past.
Certainly more capable than some of the other players on his teams, even when they themselves are categorized as that primary op. So I think that's actually a really cool comparison you bring up with UU and Twanu. Because honestly, the moment I saw that on Cobblestone versus Virtus.pro, I was a critic. And I thought that you were limiting your potential for success by not giving Twanu the AWP over a guy like UU, and yet UU is phenomenal with it. His ability to get up close towards the platform, lock down Pasha biceps, winning multiple duels with the op. I mean, he even had a fantastic 4K in a crucial round that then just cemented Virtus.pro into that loss. So by all means, I will not write off e-spor this time around.
No.
But then again, me personally, we only got to spectate the overpass games from Wololos. So I don't know if that's going to be map dependent. I don't know if that's the reason we saw Mixwell pick it up from round to round. That is the benefit of having depth to your AWP play on certain maps, is that you can change your op role based on spawn placement. You can change your op role based on whoever is maybe feeling a little more confident, or a certain positional changeup. And when a guy like Mixwell can do just essentially anything, right? He is one of those players that can step up whenever you need him, however you need him. Then by all means, maybe they will find solutions. Maybe e-spor will find comfort and a little bit of success. But it's a scary idea to think you may have to opt versus simple. I don't know about you, but that shaking in my boots here.
Even not just simple, Markelov as well. He was the man to pick up that secondary AWP on this team, just on train as well. I remember watching the Ukraine match. So yeah, simple, scary open Markelov, not just as scary, but definitely scary. We haven't really seen him make that rise back to 1.6 Markelov, but he's certainly got it in him, as we all know. And yeah, I mean, up versus Simple, that's not an easy battle to be taking for e-spor or Mixwell, to be honest, coming into this game. So that's got to be something worrying. But e-spor was saying, there was a little interview where he said, you know, when Mixwell came to me and said, I want to play with you for WSG, he said that brought him a lot of confidence. That made him feel a lot better about, you know, himself as a player individually. And so coming into this event, he actually had a lot more confidence just due to the fact that he was picked up, you know. He was asked to come play with this team. And taking into account he's the only player from his own team to be in this WSG mixed roster, whereas we have 2 players from Existence and obviously Lau. Easter is the only player coming from the G2 Spanish roster.
Do you think that you know, by combining all of these lineups on the side of Wololos that they'll mix well?
Haha, terrible joke. Terrible joke. You can't use that, Connor.
Why not?
Everyone uses that.
I just did.
So it's terrible.
All right.
Knife round here, very important, I would say. Not usually on overpass, but for Wololos' sake, I think they definitely need it. However, well, that certainly doesn't help. Ukraine start off, and surely, if they've done their research, they'll be going on that CT side up against Wololos. Don't want to give them the satisfaction of getting the side choice, so we'll be seeing what Ukraine opt to do here after picking up that knife, and yep, they will opt to change. CT side coming in for the Ukrainians. This is going to be a hard match for Wololos. They need that pistol.
Pistol would certainly help at least get enough rounds onto the board for them to make something of it. Then again, they could be completely changed, Hugo. They've had a day or so.
Certainly.
Come into this one with a refreshed look.
But the only issue is I don't think they expected coming into this game to play overpass, or maybe at least not as the first map, right? You know, you would assume that most teams would actually just straight up ban this, even though Ukraine, of course, don't want to touch cash. You wouldn't be surprised, I think, if Ukraine actually just went for that overpass veto just as a complete, risk. Just go, okay, we don't want to touch this. We've already seen what these guys can do on it. Let's just play safe. But no, cash gone, which makes a lot of sense. And overpass picked by Ukraine, I think, is the biggest surprise. I'm so excited for this game. I have no idea what's going to happen, to be honest. It could just be a match where Ukraine just comes out all guns blazing and just wipes the floor with Wololos, or it could be the underdogs once again, Connor. Throughout this tournament, we've been sleeping on them, as we have for many teams. They could come out all guns blazing themselves and show what they're really made of here in the home country, in front of the home crowd, defending in Barcelona.
Lowell here towards the end, side by side with Mixwell. Again, the more internationally acclaimed players to grace the games of Spain. Meanwhile, Ukraine, well, legends. Legends that are now... I heard that from here.
Yeah.
That's a good high five.
That was a big high five. That was a Markelov high five right there.
Yeah. That's all Bondic does. He just sits completely separate from his team, facing an opposite direction, and he just turns back when he needs that.
Bang.
That empowering tap. But speaking of empowering, I'm ready to go.
I am too. So are the players. In we go to the pistol. Full armor on the Ukraine side. We've got utility on Kari, and they're setting up early towards B. An important round needed for Wololos, and Ukraine with heavy defense down Monster.
Ooh, Edward's going to try to fall back, and it's he and Markelov that actually come up with 2 kills here, but so much damage been thrown the other way. e-spor's going to try and get himself closer towards the Toxic, and as he does so, Lowell's going to find another kill. It's just down to Edward. All of a sudden, Wololos swing back the pistol. They were down in a 3 versus 5. They used the most of that health advantage to then just clean up the B site. Team Ukraine forfeiting it over despite starting off strong.
And even with Simple early setting up towards an aggressive A play, he had such a quick rotation down the connector because of the fast B, and even though he came up short instantly, Wololos were ready for it. They were waiting, they took him down without a fight, and e-spor a great pistol round for him as well. 3 kills, 2 for Lau. So first round on the board for the Spaniards as they move forward with rifles and triple UMP. Back to B they go as well. Kari going to hold the outside of A, and Simple up on the scout. Got to be careful. It's not quite the AWP, but still dangerous as Wololos, they opt to walk into B. Again, a lot of presence here for Ukraine. 2 players just watching the monster position, and Markelov taps, but Bondic sprays. First kill comes through for him. Markelov doing damage as well, but it's finally the UMPs to strike. Maybe not for much longer though. Mixwell traded, and Edward follows up.
Oh my goodness, it's just down to Kyrie, and he's got a UMP, so the players towards heaven are safe. Good decision to swap into the AK, but he's not sure how close this threat really is. Markelov and Edward both within the water. Simple's going to be further back, and Kyrie's still close enough to clutch. He's got time. He could certainly walk away from this if need be, but eventually he'll have to wrap back because the bomb's still on full display here. And as Kyrie tries to find duels, he hits the headshot to Simple. That's a crucial kill because the next two CTs are just on sidearms and they're lower health. Simple was the linchpin for that counter-terrorist side, but it's Markelov with a hell of a headshot off of the Deagle, and Ukraine comes straight back with a round of their own.
The biggest issue there is he had no idea all three players were in the site.
Yep.
He was checking his back constantly, watching towards short, making sure he wasn't being flanked, and that's why he was playing so slow. But both those two players in the pit. And Markelov, a ballsy push, but it damn well pays off. Ukraine with a round on the board, and hey, Wololos, they started things off well. They started things off perfectly, in fact, picking up that pistol round, exactly what they needed it on their already weak T side. We've seen 2 times before. But it certainly doesn't pay off in the long run. No conversion for them. They're back onto pistols themselves. This time, Deagles. Ukraine did the same with the exact same buy, so it's always possible. The rifles are in for Team Ukraine as well. AK saved, a P90 on Zeus. Tom quaking is in his boots somewhere, and Edward starting things off on long.
He's going to get a fresh magazine in. Goes back for the peek and lays down some more damage. Continuous tap fire. Not going to find an additional kill. But it certainly convinced both Soccer and Lowell that they hang on to life by a thread. e-spor coming off of the parties, getting closer towards Simple. And he also has the support of Kyrie, who does still hold all of his grenades, right? Double flash, a smoke, and a Molotov can be used to piece together some kind of an execution. And without Team Ukraine pushing up into short water, it's going to be kind of isolated. But Simple's been afforded a bit of a creepy corner. Edward is supporting over his shoulder, but Edward himself now drawn towards long. He spots 2 targets, takes one with a headshot. Zeus now going to go on a bit of a more aggressive hunt, and Simple's cleaning up shop, but e-spor hits his shot and stops it. And another. It's down to just e-spor, however. He's lost all of his teammates. He's got 3 frags to find, and Zeus mows him down. Team Ukraine converting the point and still keeping 3 players up.
I was just watching that, ready and waiting for that kill to happen onto Kyrie. That's a round over as soon as it does. Simple, as you said, aggressive positioning, drops a player with all the utility, and that's why I lost his chances to take the site dead. Not only that, but Ukraine had such a heavy presence up on that A-bomb site. 3 players committed. So nothing Wololos could do with just Deagles, especially with a man disadvantage. But now they're down to even less. A P250 on Kyrie, Glocks on everyone else, and no utility to play with here for the Spanish. Ukraine still have SMGs in place and money to be made. And Wololos, not back towards B this time. They hit a heavy. 5 players up towards the playground, looking to burst out on long. But again, no utility. They have nothing to play with here. They have to just walk out into the firing line. And 2 players are here ready and waiting. Simple and Edward, both SMG'd up, both ready to make some money. But they don't realize there's so many players here. 1 kill, make it 2. It's a spray down. Finally glocked out, but Simple's in time. In Ukraine, they find a near flawless round to get themselves up to 3.
You know what? I actually like that attempt there from Wololos, right? A round like that, a lot of teams would just kind of throw the Hail Mary, go charging towards the bomb site, like you said, hitting it quickly. But in reality, all they're doing is keeping themselves into playground and thinking that, of course, the CTs will feel that sense of confidence, when in reality, it's false confidence. If Edward's not able to get those first kills up close, right? If those terrorists can offset his crosshair and overwhelm him with just their pistols, then they pick up a gun. They have an opportunity at a bit more spacing, and it's all because those CTs get so close. If they make first contact towards Fountain, then maybe the defenders can still be back towards the bathrooms, inside of Connector, with much more stable pillbox-like positions. When in this case, we see both of the Ukraine players on full display, standing in the open, no cover, and they have to commit. But in that case, they also get their kills. So, does it go the way of the Spaniards? Absolutely not. They all get gunned down, the money's made, the kills are found. But in reality, it at least could have gone worse for Ukraine.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get anything done out of a round when you have a solo P250 anyway. I mean, the alternative, as you said, rush into a bomb site. You're never really going to get anything done, especially when you have such good utility usage as well from this team. Ukraine had so many SMGs, they had so many nades, it was just an unrealistic round. And on a map like Overpass, it's not an easy one for pistol rounds either. Especially not with just defaults, right? You have a map like Train where all you really need is a flash and a smoke. You can smoke down B ramp, throw a flash over the top. Easy bomb plant if the CTs are playing passive, or even if they're playing in the site. You know, usually you're only going to have 1 or 2 players at a very most at B. It's usually a free bomb plant for you, and that's a good bit of money when you don't invest. But Overpass not in the same story. However, we got the buy. He stores up on the AWP, but no armor to support said rifle. And Team Ukraine, a couple of SMGs still left in their hands, but I certainly wouldn't doubt them going into this round.
Very narrow angle being held by Mixwell, and Any vision he could have had is blocked off by the smoke as Team Ukraine are playing proactively in this round. Allowing for Wololos to set up passively just as they had in the previous with their pistols, but this time spread out. Anticipating that maybe Ukraine get aggressive and go for some kind of an ambitious push. Of course, Ukraine being ambitious and clearing out corners, at least in short and over towards bathrooms, but not fully extending here. And as Edward tries to make contact on Fountain, he actually opens up. It's Lowell down in a 5v4 found for Team Ukraine. While they reposition players on long, oh my god, Simple just gets right by. Using the cover of the boulder, e-spor does not spot his target. Simple takes the position of Edward with an MP7 as opposed to the M4, but e-spor's gonna come down, and Simple, he starts to fire off. No help versus Soccer though. He's immediately killed. Now it's Simple just coming back towards bathrooms where Edward takes another, and this is just 1v1 over and over. The man at B also mowed down, and Wololos have e-spor left up. That's it. It's all done. Controlled engagements, one after another by Team Ukraine. And look at Edward's flank. He's got him dead to rights. Solid round by Team Ukraine. Constantly looking for a gunfight, whether it was by clearing out connector initially with Simple, moving him into short, then allowing for him to take the position on long A as Edward didn't find much after his opening frag. Very proactive positioning there from Team Ukraine, and Wololos get nothing for it.
And one of the biggest factors of that as well is the upgraded guns now. Simple, he takes an AWP away, upgrades that from the MP7, Edward, M4 to AK, and Bondik, UMP to AK. These guys are on full rifles now with the side of, aside from a single P90. And again, up against pistols, that just continues to be effective with only one armored player, that being Lowell. Ukraine is still sitting in a really good spot right now, early, up to 4. Looking to make it 5. Shouldn't be too much of an issue as well. Wololos, they set up early again towards the A bomb site with the bomb. A couple of players down near B. With utility there as well, they could potentially throw in some kind of fake, but Ukraine, they have so much presence down towards B. They'll work it out fairly easily. Up towards A, Wololos do pressure, and Zeus, he spots a presence in the connector as well. Players backing off. That's all the information. As a result, we just see Zeus start to look to try and take a fight. Nice dink. He'll just rotate off the back of that. Knows Wololos doesn't have presence down B, but off the back of that dink, they reconsider. The A setup changes. They still have this smoke. That can go towards Heaven, for example, easily cut off one of the A rotators. That being now Zeus, as Ukraine only have 2 players down on this B bomb site. Markelov and Bondik left to hold. But utility's up for Bondik, and a spot again for Markelov. They're continually jumping, trying to get information away from Wololos, and information they're getting. It should surely force another rotation, and Wololos about to hit a site. Ukraine, they should know.
Bondik's already starting to soften him up as they come in. The Molotov blocks off his back, and his gunfire stops the push from Monsters, so it's an easy cleanup at this point from the CT side. And even with a sidearm, he's going to go ahead and find Kyrie. Zeus, having rotated back into the bomb site and being tagged up early, does still get into the fight, and he gets himself a kill with that P90. We're talking $10,000 on on 4 of these players from Team Ukraine.
And this is where it gets scary for Wololos. If they don't pick up this round, this lead is only going to go further and further out of control. Ukraine are going to be able to get themselves into a great spot. And while we saw this happen again with Space Soldiers, with Big, and Wololos only getting 3 rounds on T-side overpass, yet still drawing and winning those matches respectively, it's a really worrying sight. Sorry, because it so much depends on that pistol round, right? If they don't win that pistol round on T-side, they struggle. So they definitely need to kick off with some T-side buys, and that's a good start. Soka takes down Edward, who gets caught out with a tag. The nade missing as well and stops his position. As Ukraine now lose their first man, going to look to trade Zeus, but he's dead. Wololos pulling this back into a 5-on-3. Can Ukraine change this?
Now, what the problem is here is that the bomb's still back towards spawn, so someone's going to have to come back and get it. And right now, Simple's posted on the angle, but he switches to the pistol. Ooh. Walks right into Lowell. Very good round from Lowell so far. 2 kills in it. There was moments whereby the Ukrainians could have swung back that round by finding frags still towards party. Now it's going to be made that much more difficult. Markelov and Bondik still alive, both of which on that A site. And right now, Wololos, they've changed direction. They're going to head towards B. Of course, Markelov has gotten down just in the nick of time, spots one man on the cross, sees the shadow, goes for the shot, but he cannot find the kill. Kyrie takes his bomb plant, and that's going to be a round for Wololos most certainly. So Bondik, seeing as they have so much cash in their coffers, go for some damage. Curb the enthusiasm and the success of the Spaniards. And as he cleans up e-spor with a headshot, he then decides to tuck tail. So you know what? He himself, I believe, has only 5.5. No, it's Edward. So I thought maybe he'd want to keep a bit of his own cash. But in this case, he could still go attack them all the way towards T-spawn, come in from a completely different angle trying to get ahead of the exit. If they assumed his last position was in heaven, then why would he be in their spawn? His options remain open, no matter what. And Wololos, theirs will as well, as they move 3 players into the next round, and more importantly, get a second to the board. Ukraine not able to extend their lead just as of yet, but Bondic grabs the op, so that's what he wanted. He was on a treasure hunt.
And a big change as well from Wololos, as Team Ukraine, they take near flawless rounds every single time on the CT side. It's now the complete polar opposite. Wololos keep 3 alive, so money's not the worst situation, at least if they can pick this one up again. If it's not, it's a reset, and then Ukraine are back in control. Not that they've given up too much. The AWP in the hands of Simple, as is e-spor. No double AWPing just yet, but overpass not a map where you see it too commonly. Ukraine, early presence, nades going in. Wololos look to challenge with their own flashbangs, force back these aggressive CTs as well. So Ukraine can't fight off with an early pick due to some aggression. However, they hold off towards the toilets, and Simple's here with the AWP. Gotta be careful. Wololos put presence on long, but that's exactly where Zeus rotates too. So Ukraine with 3 players up towards the A bomb site early on. And they've been doing this time after time. It's more common you see 3 down towards B, but Ukraine, so much presence on this side of the map. And Wololos have been consistently walking into it as well, so got to be very careful. 3 up on long, try to clear out the bathrooms, try and get control back towards A, and smokes begin to be set up. But again, with the bomb drop back towards spawn, Wololos have to bring it all the way forward. They won't be committing just yet. They've got to wait for that to join them. The Simple spotted as well. He's tagged down to 35. At least the AWP in his hand, so it's not the worst. Ukraine still have presence here over on this site.
Edwards just hoping that he catches somebody off guard, but right now Wololos, they're still remaining patient. They've gotten themselves towards bathrooms. They've gotten e-spor with his eyes on long. Problem is, Clock starting to play against them. Edwards going to get played proactive. He gets in behind them, finally finds his frag, but he's only good for 1 because the mag went dry. And at this point, Zeus will take the trade. 74 HP as he gets tight. Simple with a collateral. Oh, that's crucial. All of a sudden, Wololos, they're going back and forth with a kill each way, and then they lose it thanks to Simple. Kyrie the next to fall. Simple steps up in a position where everyone was only finding 1 frag apiece. He takes 3. An excellent trio on the A site from Team Ukraine. That's now going to put them straight back into the driver's seat because Wololos are broke. And they will have only pistols to work with unless they opt to buy.
I wouldn't recommend it in this situation because they saved 3 players in that buy run that they won. They actually have some money to fall back on some of these guys. So keep 2K, maybe a little bit over. You can buy up next round just off of the $1,900 loss bonus. It won't be great, but they'll have rifles at the very least. However, we have double AWP in play. Not only Simple, again, starting things off, but it's Markelov as well on the secondary AWP down towards the B bomb site. Fun to see. Be keeping your eyes on him as Wololos have presence and connector. They may just be spotted. Flash in, doesn't connect, doesn't matter. Zeus 2 kills. So anti-eco going very well for Team Ukraine again. And it seems like every anti-eco they've had, they haven't given up more than 1 player anyway. So Wololos are in a really tight spot. And Soka specifically now, he has the bomb, but that's it. He's not even going to opt to pick it up. He knows this round is undoable. He's just trying to find damage, maybe get a gun, potentially save. Edwards not on the open, but Simple is. Nice shot. Still being flanked. Should land more. Surely not. Edward not connecting either. Neither player landing it. Finally, Soka gets 2, but he's being flanked in the meantime. As Bondic coming all the way in from behind, and Edward just going to tuck tail and run away. Doesn't want to commit to the fight. Bondic, however, certainly will. And as Soka rounds the corner, he won't expect the close position. The round's over. Ukraine up to 7. Damage done, but not enough.
Wololos being very well controlled at this instance. I mean, all the anti-ecos have not given Wololos much position to work with, not much success in the form of frags or anything really. The closest round would have been the 8th, where they were able to trade back and forth through bathrooms, get themselves on the cusp of that A bomb site, and they thought they were going to get themselves with a bomb plant, maybe a little bit of an after plant fray, and then in reality, Simple just robs it away. Excellent collateral shot, and then the follow-up frag. So Wololos back in with a buy. More often than not, this has still gone the way of Ukraine, who now group themselves up yet again. Edwards been playing proactively towards the upper A site, but right now they've actually gone for that stack on B with the tower watching short. That'll afford Markelov a positioning forward. Taking this early bit of control will now allow the players on the bomb site to watch Monster where the push will come in. That's 5 players going to be committed to this. And with the flashbangs, the frags, they're doing early damage. Simple's still hitting shots. He re-peeks again, and Kyrie drops him then and there. But a 4 versus 2, bomb on display, Bondic with another frag, and Kyrie smoked off. This round is over. Unless Kyrie can find a couple of kills, maybe push the CTs back, but he shouldn't, and he won't. Bondic cleans it up. Team Ukraine the same. The positioning in that round was a perfect counter to what Wololos tried to throw their way.
Yeah, and again, not even the players that you really look to be the top of the board at the moment. We've got Edward and Bondic at top fragging currently for the Ukraine side. Simple close behind, yes, but you look more so towards him and Markelov. Maybe Edward on occasion to be the mad fraggers of this team. Either way, Ukraine doesn't matter. Having no issue taking down Wololos here, and we have a tactical pause called out once again. Oh, actually, first, sorry, for the Spanish team. This is really turning out to be an unfortunate start to the game, but again, I cannot count this team out until we see that second half. I just hope they get enough of a buffer, plus that pistol round to actually get a chance. And even though they're getting reset, hell, if they can keep getting reset, as long as they can get that 1-2 rounds on the board, get themselves 4, get themselves 5 maybe in the half, they have a chance to play with, but they're running out of options, they're running out of time. And at this point, 2, maybe 3 at a max, I would say, unless something changes. I was never impressed by the T side, no one was, but it was their CT where they stepped up. It's all down to whether they get that buffer. They need to start to kick things off, and they will be back down on pistols. Ukraine looking like they can potentially pull themselves up to a 9th. Missed shot, only just. As Wololos, they look to burst up towards the A bomb site. No utility to play with, though. This is going to be the biggest issue once again. It's actually Edward up on long, dead to Soka. So one gun grab, but again with no armor, Ukraine still shouldn't be too worried. They're even going to try and contest it straight off the bat. Zeus pushes up on long. He has support from Simple as well. The bait and switch set up, but not needed. Simple drops the frag. So Soka dead, gun taken out of equation, and Wololos still want to commit towards his site.
Zeus keeping his position ambiguous, peeks both left and right. Finally does find a target, and then Simple steals it. It was the gun retrieved by Soccer. Of course, still the T's getting themselves that much closer, but Simple, again, peeking, re-peeking over and over, and he even gives down a bit of cover fire, but Zeus still loses his life.
Oh, there we go. Simple. Classic, 4 kills on the Antico, not an issue at all. 14 frags currently. Yeah, no, he is the player to step up, and he is at the moment top of the board now for Ukraine after that round. And yes, Wololos back on the bye, but how much can they really do, Connor? That is the question.
Time will tell. Again, never been successful on these T-halves, as we've alluded to. I think it's wild to think that Edward actually still has 12 frags of his own. Bondic sits on 11, and Bondic's generally your dedicated B player. Edward's your dedicated A, and Simple's just your opper. So you've got somebody on each side of the map going off to that next level, and then Simple in the middle, wherever he decides to go, finding heavy impact. And that's what I was trying to talk about coming into this game, right? Team Ukraine, if they step up to the pedigree that we sometimes expect of them, we may be watching Spain currently being outclassed, but never write them out. I did twice in their group stage, both times on overpass, and yet they were able to impress on the comebacks. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They've earned it.
Again, against a team like Ukraine, the firepower on this roster is insurmountable at times. We have a boost going on. 2 players up here. They're playing very close to the wall, which with the boost doesn't really work unless you have 3 and you try and go for a weird ledge boost. They'll go for it anyway, spotting the jump, but I think Zeus surely saw that. He's got info and he's actually going to wrap. Maybe go to heaven, try and get an above angle to spot these players' heads. You can do so from that heaven position. And in the meantime, Bondic's there as well. Peeking out, Mixwell walks into it. Quick kill from Bondic. Good defense on this B bomb site as well. 30 seconds left. We're also running out of time, running out of options. They've got to hit a site soon. They've got utility to do so, but there's so many players here. 3 up close on this CT side. Zeus playing crossfire with Edward. Simple spotting on the boost. A flash through for Soka, but he's sprayed down dead.
That's the first one. Now Simple peeks into the crosshair of eStore. Neither opper finding their shot. The T's still trying to find positioning on the bomb site. Edward's going to mow down Lowell. eStore's just set to cower. 10 seconds on the clock. This round's over. Kyrie might be on full display, and that then gets blasted away. It's Edward with the final frag, and Team Ukraine to double digits. They hold it off again.
I'd love to know how many players they're losing in these buy rounds as well. I feel like out of memory, they've not lost more than one player on almost every single round this entire map. It's ridiculous. Ukraine have been so strong on the CT side. It's not even needed to be traded. Every player, as soon as they get into a gunfight, they're winning it. Markelov's 5-2. He's not even seen anyone. He's not had to, because Bondik's killing every man the second they walk into that B bomb site. Markelov just sits towards the back, and yeah, he's had a couple of kills, but he's really not had a chance. Flash up, Molotov up, and they run through it. Wololos tagged. It's Kyrie to get it down to 50 HP, and Wololos, they look to make a quick B burst. I like this as well. Switch up the pace. It's only pistols to work with, but they can quickly overrun Ukraine. They can get themselves onto the site. There could be something coming on here. Lots of utility towards the spawn. Deep Molotovs as well. But the spray down through long. Bondik's there. One kill found, and Zeus going to follow up as well. It's a complete mowdown. Loud changes things temporarily, but everyone's low on the Wololos side. And the bomb's dropped in the open as well. Ukraine have the manpower to deal with this fight, and they will. Zeus another kill. And this is starting to fall out of the hands of Wololos unless e-spor can change things with this rifle.
The only man on an AK now down from T side, and Kyrie's up next. Simple from the heavens. Cleans up shop. Now, again, we've seen Wololos try to do multiple things at that B-bomb site. I think that in the most previous round, obviously just on pistols, they wanted to try and get that distance closed as quickly as they could. Doesn't work out their way. Bondik playing proactively, getting just on the other side of smokes. Very similar to that A-site setup we saw from Team Ukraine in the gun round last scene. However, in that very same gun round, we also had Wololos trying to go for a very close boost on the wall, because they know that if they give Team Ukraine a little bit of time, once they see that there's no initial push, Ukraine starts spotting short by jumping over the wall, by going for these kinds of boosts, by having a player up in heaven. And with that information denied by being so close to the wall, they even tried to kind of catch them off guard with then a burst on guns. But this round, it's going to be e-spor tasked with pushing long A. We saw Soccer here calling the rotation over last gun round, but it's the op, one of two, because Mixwell has his as well. Being positioned down towards short. Speaking of oppers, Simple getting himself back into safety after making contact towards washrooms. Not feeling confident in his life being held at that position, so why not fall back? They've done so well in holding players off on the actual bomb site. And if you've succeeded, why change it?
I just like to see more fast-paced approaches from Wololos. It's just so difficult with Ukraine playing aggressive on the CT side. We need some fast rushes, because when they go for these defaults and they play 1v1s, they lose them every time. Whereas, you know, we see that CZ round, they get 2 kills. It's the most kills they've gotten in a while. And that was just off the back of a fast Molotov execute on B, but now they're running out of time, and now they've got to do something similar again. It is going to be down towards B. Bomb rotating back round on e-spor. Looking to burst into this site. The issue is utility. Only 2 smokes left on this team. No Molotovs as well. We saw they're executing the previous round, but it's Edward to start things off on A. That may draw Ukraine with a rotation after that first kill, considering the time is low, but they continue to push, and they continue to walk into the firing line. Every player getting a kill on the site. Finally, e-spor trades, but I'm not sure if they can even pull this one back. Bomb goes down, but it's all on e-spor now. 1v3. 1 kill already, but no more as Edward fires down from above, and Ukraine 12 rounds. This is a ridiculous half.
In this moment, you know, you have to praise Wololos and say, well, at least they've gotten a bomb plant, the first of a round that they then go on to lose. So the very first retake by Team Ukraine now seen. But in reality, I would argue that entire situation only happens because Markelov unscopes.
Yeah.
e-spor walks in, the barrel of the gun was spotted. Markelov then just thinks that maybe he's holding the angle when in fact he had to cross. And because of that one missed opportunity, the bomb is planted. Every other player gets a frag from Ukraine on that bomb site. Everybody's held off. The push completely denied. And like you said, I'd love to see Wololos go for a more aggressive stance, but it's very difficult when Team Ukraine are consistently pushing up on this A site. And this goes back to the conversation that I think Launders says best. When it comes down to A site control on the CT side of overpass, you have to push forward. Look how much time is being spent by Wololos just clearing out these corners. They're playing scared at this point because they know that a guy like Edward is always changing up his position, and off of a teammate's flash, he goes for the peek. He sprays one, but then he jumps. And while airborne, he'll find nothing more. Still the 4v4. Double ops and a Scar 20 for Zeus. And speak of the devil, pressured on that A site. Nearly gets clipped by the man up close. Simple trying to pry from multiple angles. The smoke deep from the T's could allow for them to push up here. Ukraine still hesitant on rotating forward. They do bring Bondik back. For now. A little bit of spam fire coming out of the auto sniper. Simple with a sidearm taking the first. Zeus then follows suit. And with Kyrie coming in for the bomb, Zeus is going to lock this out. Bondic arrives in the nick of time, and 13-2 the score. Hugo, this is the weakest T side we've seen from Wololos.
It is indeed, but we've seen crazy things happen on their CT side, and that's what we've been alluding to this entire game. The issue is, again, Connor, with a 13-2 on the half, there's so much chance that Ukraine could just pick up pistol and therefore take the game as a result. They don't have that buffer to fall back on. That's something that we said Wololos required. They need the rounds to fall back on. And even then, to be honest, gun by gun round, yes, Wololos have done it versus Big. Yes, they've done it versus Space Soldiers. I don't even think they could do this versus Ukraine, even with a better scoreline. I think at this point, Ukraine should have this in the bag.
Yep.
But I'm just going to wait and see. No more brash predictions. We will wait. And we'll see how the pistol goes, because, again, that is a necessity for Wololos at this point. If they don't pick that pistol round up, this game is over before they get onto rifles. And what a way to lose overpass as well. We wondered why Ukraine picked this map. Well, this certainly tells why. The most rounds on the CT side we've seen versus Wololos on overpass before. Will that story continue, or will the comeback come?
Still only 4 deaths for both Bondic and Markelov at the end of that half. And I think that's just an argument as to how convincing the B site hold was and how those players just always kerneled up on bomb sites, because the only deaths we really saw was from Team Ukraine pushing forward on the A site. Sometimes a man or two would get caught off guard. Team Ukraine, generally getting kills with those deaths, would then just play the 3v3s in the mid-round on the actual sites. But you know what? A little bit of a statement from the Spaniards as they will find 1 frag, but now Soccer and eStor, they're going to be pinned into this commitment. They need to take kills with them, and Bondic finds both. 4 versus 3 straight back. Markelov still hangs on to his utility, and now at this point, Ukraine with a numbers advantage that they can exploit on either site. Map control in their hands as well as they take back everything Wololos had worked for. While Mixwell looks to make first contact on the short crossing, Lowell will not be on the bomb site. So Mixwell and Low are going to look to lock down this short area. Maybe the third CT rotates down from A. Maybe Mixwell even dies if he commits to this gunfight. Bondic's just going to clear him out. That's 3 kills now. Lowell's up next. Bondic trade frags. That's 4. Ace could be found as Kyrie sits on site, and Edwards going to seal the deal. 14-2 in Team Ukraine. I think they've got this in the bag.
That seems to be the case. Bondic, the kryptonite of Spain, apparently, but both him and Edward up to near 20 frags. And Wololos, this comeback, I think a little far-fetched. Scout up for Soka, pistols out for everyone else. Currently, I imagine waiting for Train, as this is seeming to be too much of an ask for Wololos. Rifles back in the hands of Ukraine. Couple of SMGs to play with. I'm imagining a little bit more of a fast-paced round, and I barely blame them. That started off so well for Wololos in the previous with that pick from Soka, but it will go no further than that. And every kill traded there on out. But actually, Ukraine slow and passive. They know Wololos are going to push, and they certainly have. Mixwell brought the heat. As he's up to the edge of the connector, deep. Markelov waits, and I'm sure he'll be clearing out this angle, but he's caught with a nade in his hand. That's a kill you can't afford to lose. Mixwell finds it, but luckily simple trades, and they'll dive down the connector. Still Mixwell's here. Only an MP7 drop, not the end of the world. Nade in, could do damage, but it won't. Mixwell gets out of there in time as it rounds the corner. And he's got the MP7, but still commits to the CZ, and I barely blame him. Ukraine down a man, and with Zeus tagged up, this is doable, Connor. Let's keep that in mind, but Ukraine still have AKs, and that's something Wololos lack.
Mixwell wary of the potential flank, tries to get into positioning. It was a great attempt, but unfortunately the CZ not always as reliable. Lowell up close finds one, he's good. That's the bomb carrier of all, so now the hands of the T's are going to be forced. They're going to have to come back for this device. Bondic peeks in, he gets 1 headshot. Feels as though there's a player there, and there most certainly is. It's Lowell with a retrieved AK. Zeus on the MAC-10 dies, and Wololos do what was done to them. They reset after the pistol. It's not over yet, Hugo.
Come back, Connor. What do you think? We've seen it happen before twice. And while I want to count them out, there's this little thing in the back of my head that says I can't.
Again, I think that they've earned the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, right. You know, take away those 2 overpass games, and I'm sitting here telling you this game is over
Finished.
100%. There's no way they can do it, but it's happened before. Well, we'll see. Ukraine, for the time being, going to be forcing. They don't want to eco for next. They want pistols in with armor as well. Utility up and a boost for Wololos, but it's going to be wrong because everyone's in the connector, almost. They've not committed down the hallway, so they won't be able to spot these 2 players going for the boost, but the smoke is down regardless, so that won't make a difference. As soon as that smoke dissipates, unless we're going to see a resmoke or a Molotov down from Soka, Wololos got to reposition or just fight aggressively.
Oh.
Mixwell, 3 kills. Soka follows up with a 4th, and that's a bomb dropped, and surely the round over. Edward's last man up.
What a mow down. Any kind of a threat, then just instantly neutralized. Edward firing off on the Deagles, sure enough going to deal a little bit of damage, but I like that aggressive stance from Wololos. They commit to the connector, and that's actually something we didn't really see from Team Ukraine. I feel like Team Ukraine on their CT side at A were using Edward inside of bathrooms more often than not. Yeah. And sure enough, we would watch 1 or 2 rounds where Simple takes the AWP into the connector stairs, would pry for that opening kill. But it didn't really, you know, ever conclude in that kind of a round where they're able to catch a grouping of Ts and just shut them down instantly. So Wololos going through the motions of this one. Team Ukraine accepting their fate with a single P250. Not even a flashbang, Hugo.
I mean, we've seen the same buy from Wololos on their T side.
True enough.
Nothing happened there. I imagine a similar story right ahead. Ukraine quick up towards long. This time they take fast control. Something that we wanted to see Wololos do a little bit more, but it was because of the aggressive positioning from Ukraine that disallowed that from Wololos. We don't have the same story on A. In fact, there's no control. There's 1 player on the site, 1 up short. Now make that 3. 2 have run up the connector. Wololos are looking to challenge this fight, although they'll only get 1 simple trade to the P250 and a gun attempted to be grabbed but removed. Players on the site dead, and Simple continuing to create opportunities and open ground here. He has an AK now to play with. Just trying to take guns away from Wololos in case they have SMG, so he's trying to remove the chance of them picking them back up. As he sits with the AK in his hands, 1v3 ahead of him. Certainly not undoable, but certainly improbable. As Wololos sit with 3 on the bomb towards the A bomb site. Simple, no armor and only a smoke to work with. He's got to walk into his potential death. A player spots him as well, so they know he's up long. He has to wrap back round. And while time is good for now, that's the only positive on his side.
Very thorough, including corners so far. He's made sure that he didn't make any sound coming down here, so for all they know, he could still be up long, but he fires a second shot, still unable to pop the heads. Smoke gives a bit more space, and it's there that he finds e-store. Now he's going to run straight through the fire, could find the second, and he does, but Lowell, oh, Lowell, he shuts it down.
1 PT50, huh?
Yeah, no flashbang.
No flashbang. Not needed. 4 kills from Simple. If he can do that with a P250, what can they do with guns? Well, Connor, we're about to find out. AKs across the board here for Ukraine. The open option, but not what they'll opt for. In fact, it's 2 for Wololos to make up for it. Mixwell and Eastor back on those. Mixwell known to not enjoy the AWPing, but he's damn good at it. So we'll see if he can start here when they really need it. Early peek from Eastor as well. Tries to spot anyone outside of the A-bomb site, but there's no one peeking. Actually take that back. Edward pushes up around the corner and he finds a frag. A massive start to a round that Ukraine need to get on this early. If they want to close this game out, do it before Wololos start to build bank and start to get confidence back in their favor. Yes, they have the pistol, but it's only been back and forth due to these forced by rounds. Now that we have rifles v rifles, this is where Ukraine should be taking this one away. Simple's even picked up the AWP off the body, so now Ukraine equipped well.
Iris though, oh no. Bondik winning a crucial duel. If that had been the way for Wololos to get back some B control and then fall into the bomb sites in a 4v4, it wouldn't be half bad. Now luckily, Mixwell is successful. Lowell's going to try to give chase, and then he cleans up Bondik. So they will find even keel, 3v3. Soccer now trying to get up aggressive. He's still inside the bathrooms. Markelov with a headshot. Great marksmanship and great opportunity, unless they can't pass Mixwell, but he too toppled by the Opper of Ukraine. Simple, again, has had so many frags throughout this second half already. And we're only 4 rounds deep. 5 rounds deep? Yes, sir. Lowell, he knows what he's worth. He's just going to walk away from this. Keep the AK into the next one. Give Wololos that extra little buffer. Tidbit of confidence, sliver of hope. And I think it's fair, because they certainly have their work set out for them.
Undoubtedly.
There was a lot of moments in that round, however, that could have been taken by either team. I mean, I think most notably would have been that initial push by Kyrie through Monster. Had he won that kill versus Bondic, and then Mixwell hits his op shot just moments later on the opposite side of the map, that was 2 bouts of calculated aggression from Team Wololos on each side of the map. 5v3, fall back, you're good to go. It's going to take some kind of an individual performance from Ukraine to then get them back in it, but in this case, they just trade frag and ultimately topple the defense. So the overtime secured. We have to play overtime now to BO3, Hugo.
Good.
We will no longer make that mistake.
Thank you for clarifying. That wouldn't make a lot of sense in
It's map 1 draw, BO3.
Yeah. Well, all 3 maps are ties. Who wins? I don't know. Flip a coin. Well, Wololos down by 10 and a huge comeback to a mount. At least they've got a buy together, or if you can call it that, charity shot by Ahsoka. Going to try and fight, but it's actually Mixwell aggressive on long. Wololos bring the heat, they bring the fight, and they find one, but it's traded straight away. Marklov aggression, and Ahsoka continues as well. We talk about his aggression on the CT side of this map, but this time it gets punished again. Trades back and forth, and while it's good for Wololos, considering they come into this round under-equipped, it just gives me Ukraine more room to play. Wololos now have to split the defense. 2 on A, 1 on B. But barely on B. He sits in the lower connector. That's Kyrie. He gives up the site, so they can just allow Ukraine to get a bomb plant. If Bondic wraps in through the spawn, there's a good chance they could even just go through into that B bomb site. But actually, we have aggression up from Zeus. He's pushed deep towards A. It's timing on eStor. If he catches him off guard, but Zeus has spotted him. He knows exactly where he is. Doesn't matter. eStor finds a kill, and again, an engagement on the other side of the map. Now dead, and now 2 up for either team as Ukraine, they look to hit back towards B, the exact position that was given up earlier in the round. It will have to be a retake for Wololos and no kit in sight.
Of course, we saw the positioning from Simple next to Party at the mid of this round. He was watching the top of connector, so this entire time Ukraine's been wary of that potential positioning. And it's for that reason that they circumvent the threat by going all the way around the long haul, which will get them the bomb plant and the 2v2 after plant. Simple throwing the Molotov into short, trying to keep any CTs at bay. There is the man in heaven on the M4, and Kyrie, having doubled back from connector, still next to short. Simple looking for his frag, does get contact on the second man, and Bondic's just going to walk this out with a knife in hand. It's now suspected as he rounds the corner, confirmed, sprays for the first, and it's eStor with the clutch.
Does he have time for this? Ooh. Should do. Should be okay. As they stay in at 1 more round, but it's a long road to recovery here. 1 out of 9, Connor, to pull this back to a 15-15. Bring this to overtime and then have another shot. So many obstacles to overcome here for Wololos. But again, never count them out. One thing we've learned from many teams during this entire event, not just Wololos alone, there's not only upset potential in every matchup, but it depends who shows up. And for now, it's Ukraine. CZ up for Marklov, AWP back in the hands of Simple, and Rifle still in play. We have SMGs for Wololos, so they win the round, but it comes down to the 1v1, so they don't save any money moving forward. eStor does have the AWP at least picked up off the body of that last player. That's really the only positive they have going forward, aside from the M4 and Lao. And this time Ukraine, they want to end things on B. Maybe going a bit faster as well. 5 men set up here, no fakes, no lurks, just walking in through smoke.
Right off the flash as well, just looking to commit to the fights. In this moment, Mixwell gets himself into short. He's got cover from connector. So the T's will be sectioned out. This isn't very good positioning. They'll have to come up with some headshots. They'll have to win these duels. When the smoke's blanketing the bomb site, it's tough to find much footing here. Boost over the sandbags. Frag grenade, nice damage, nice kill. Lowell as well with an M4 finding one, so it's just mowed down to Simple. That push was just obliterated by Spain. They lose a single player in the round as Mixwell cleans up shop. What a fantastic hold on that B site, and I think that it all comes off of the fact that they had no presence on short. Not only the banked frag grenade, the smoke grenades being laid down by the player on the Toxic, but the boost over as well. They had vision, they had control. At no moment did it seem like Ukraine had that bomb site on wobbly legs.
Again, Ukraine are just feeling out the round, right? They're just trying to work out how can they finish this off. They've got a huge buffer to play with. All they need is one. Let's just try some different things. Let's just walk into the B site. Maybe we can just win the Angels and come out on top. Eventually, they'll start to realize maybe that's not as easy as it seems. Wololos have this CT defense, so they'll need to start to bring in something a little bit more tactical, potentially. Because at least for now, just walking straight through smokes is not the recipe for a win. And they'll have to, again, grit their teeth for this pistol round. A Deagle and a P250. We've seen them get 4 kills with just an even less buy. Zeus is going to start things off for the T side, but they've lost 2 in the process, so it's a little bit late. Already things starting to get difficult for Ukraine. A spot for e-spor as well. He sees Edward, although he gets an AK to play with, and actually they just don't even want to challenge the AWP. They reposition, they back off round through long. e-spor and Lau left on the site to defend, so it's a 2-2 for Wololos. Ukraine walking in with a man advantage to this site, but again, only one weapon.
e-spor just jump peeking, trying to spot something. Edward tapping off a bullet as the casing falls on his teammate's head. And then his corpse does as well. Luckily, so does the AK. Now it's in the hands of Zeus. And now in the hands of Bondik. Makes sense, full HP.
Pass the parcel.
Zeus to try and make contact as e-spor still seeks these frags and flicks for one. The next, no. Bondik's able to trade. 3 CTs remain, 2 of which down towards B. If he could kill Lowell, then the bomb plant would be in question, but he's very wary of his backside. And as he comes back in, Lowell takes it. Wololos able to hold off for another, as it should have been considering the investment of Ukraine. But like you said, they have such a large buffer, Hugo, that they could just try certain things. They can, you know, maybe take a little bit of a gamble idea like pushing 5 players through Monster, ambitiously so. And if it doesn't work, you've got 8 rounds left. I see no sweat on the brows of Team Ukraine, so for the time being, they'll be all right, especially with a buy like this. 5 AKs, solid amounts of grenades, and again, a little bit of a push from Wololos, not shying away from at least this early control. I feel as though even though they have 1 round to lose, they understand that they can't play scared, because doing so just doesn't play into the nature of this map.
And again, Soka aggression, right? This is something he showed so commonly on this map. And he was so good at getting behind the back line of Space Soldiers and Big. He looks to do the same on Ukraine, but they hold back passive this time. Other than Control taking down towards B, the Playground players and Fountain just hold off. Edward sits towards the back, and Wololos aren't going to push past the mark. Instead, it's Bondik trying to probe out on B, trying to spot anyone from Wololos. They're not playing aggressive towards here because they only have 2 players in the site, so it's dangerous. You've got to be careful. Can't afford to throw away anything. It's actually Soka to start things off. Takes a kill down, Connector, Markelov dead. Mixwell supporting as well, watching just to keep Soka alive. Make sure Ukraine can't walk down the connector and take him down. Nice Molotov there, denies any kind of spot over the boost. You can't see from barrels as the flames are in the way, so Kari will just stay alive for the meantime, but that's the meantime, not forever. Bondik finds a kill, and now Ukraine, they may just consider bursting the bomb site. Mixwell catches a player moving down through the connector, but it's going to be Soka caught in the open, dead to Simple.
Simple will not find Mixwell, though, because he has fallen off. So again, one of these moments in the mid-round where we see Wololos with a bit of an opportunity, a bit of an advantage. It's being reeled back in by Team Ukraine, and now we're even keel. Lowell maybe finds these 2 terrorists off guard. Absolutely. Bondik clotheslined. Simple's here to trade frag, but he's made noise, so Lowell, he's going to know. Simple still stops him. 2 frags into the round. He's got his teammate coming in from short. That's Zeus. The CT flash blinds Simple, but still he gets on site. Zeus going to try to duel versus the Opper, and that costs him. It's e-spor with a kill, and Simple to clutch. He tries to fight, finds the first, and Mixwell with a trade. It's Wololos back with another. You're grinning ear to ear here, Hugo.
I am indeed. Because again, while Ukraine are not in a position to be worried, shouldn't start sweating just yet. All it takes is a few more rounds, and then things start to look up for Wololos. You don't consider this to be the full comeback until they hit, what, 11, 12, 13? But if you look at the buy again from Ukraine, we're down on pistols. Wololos have 10, almost guaranteed. Again, crazier things can happen. Ukraine can surely pick up this pistol round. They have armor, and they have plenty of utility to play with, given the buy. But Wololos have had a fairly good job of taking down rifles, so you'd like to think pistols shouldn't be an issue. It's always possible, Connor. It's one thing we're learning. I would be so impressed if they did it, even if they lose out in overtime. just to show their CT side how strong it can be, even off the back of, you know, losing out on the pistol round into the second half. Lau's up on the boost on B. We have Team Ukraine setting up smokes, flashes, Molotovs, the full Monty down to this site. Edward goes over towards Graffiti. Zeus deep in as well to cut off the CT spawn rotation and burst on in. Can Wololos defend this? Zeus, he's starting to wrap, but they're not watching their backside, and it's Zeus running out of ammo. Not able to get that second kill into Lau, but luckily Bondic will be able to pick it up instead. So Ukraine's still in this one. A 3-on-3. Mixwell changes it, and e-spor jumps into the site with the AWP. 2 kills for him, and Wololos with 10 rounds on the board. That looked scary at one point. But Wololos regain composure.
You know, in one of their comebacks, we said, of course, Mixwell was the hands-down top fragger. Soaker had found impact in it, and this time I'll say e-spor replaces his position, but what is most notable to me is the fact that Lowell's coming alive. I had always thought when I looked at this Spaniard team that it would be Mixwell and Lowell I would expect towards the top, and Lowell did have some slower games, and not this time around. So now the pieces are starting to come together for the Spaniards.
No, not like this. Tactical pause, or technical pause, sorry. That's okay, that's fine. No damage has been had in the round, so it's not the end of the world. We can wait while the server goes back on up. Shouldn't be an issue for the admins to sort that out in just a second, so thank you for sticking with us. Yeah. I'm just glad it was at the start of the round.
Yeah, not in a 1v1.
No, not in a 1v1. that would have really upset me.
Not after Team Ukraine gets 2 kills on an anti-eco.
Oh, don't. It could be worse. But this comeback really is coming to fruition, isn't it, Connor?
Yeah.
10 rounds up, buy-in for Team Ukraine.
They're ready. They're in one of those states whereby I was a critic, and now I question myself.
I did say it was still possible. Well, maybe I didn't really believe it. I had an idea, and I'm so happy to see it actually happen, just for the entertainment value at the very least.
It's one of those, you know, fool me twice, shame on me type situations.
Well, fool me 3 times now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, you can see they've got the right state of mind. They understand that it's still dire straits, that they have 0 margin of error, but that at the same time, it's doable. They've been here before, twice. They've succeeded twice. They seek the thrice, but will they find it?
Certainly possible. And that's the thing. This makes no sense logically, right? I mean, we can't really make a conclusion based on how these games have gone because it doesn't make sense. These kind of comebacks are, while completely possible always, they're not consistent. You know, no team can consistently come back, at least not from history, right? No team consistently ends up with 2-3 rounds on T-side overpass only to pull it back to a victory or a draw. Well, not only have they done it twice, but they're in the process of doing it 3 times in Ukraine. Hey, look at it. Okay, I get they're at 10 rounds. I get there's a 5-round buffer, but how many buys is that from Ukraine? 2.5 buy on the last round of the half, depending on bomb plants, depending on damage, etc.
Yeah.
You know, whether they force early, whether they save their cash. This should only be 2 or 3 buys, no more than 3 from Ukraine left of the half. That's, again, you know, another thing to take into account. Something easier for Wololos. They only have to deal with 3 full rifle rounds from Ukraine at a very max. Unless bomb plants come in.
And you just never know.
You do never know.
That's the reality of the situation. Of course, as I was trying to talk about right before we hit this hiccup, the fact that Wololos are starting to piece things together, right? When I looked at Team Belgium, for example, I thought, all right, you've got Existence for in-game leading, you've got Twanu for the AWP play, and you've got Scream for the rifles, right? They had the 3 pieces you generally need to win, and they had the 2 extra players that could have come to life. Now, right away, Yu blows me away. Twanu gives him the AWP because he could do it justice, and we watched Belgium have success of their own so far this weekend. I think that when I looked towards the Spaniards, I thought to myself, Mixwell, Lowell, that's got to be the key. And yet they made some fantastic comebacks and decent results without Lowell coming to life. Even Mixwell had games where he was just kind of, you know, substandard. He played well, but he wasn't a hard carry in any way, shape, or form. And we watched guys like Soaker really come into his own. This time, to me, it's going to be e-spor. His op has found impact on the CT side of overpass. Again, just struggling on the offense. That's the only downside that we've really watched from Wololos.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think, you know, Spain is a country that a lot of people sleep on when it comes to CS. Hello, how are you doing?
How you doing?
Just because they don't have a team currently, you know, playing at a high level, right?
Yeah.
But they obviously have the individual talent, and that, as we've obviously highlighted many times, Mixwell Lao proven to be that. But even if we look back to DreamHack Valencia, great example here in Spain, we had KPI. Again, a completely different roster to this, but they still had some success there. They managed to get some upsets in.
Beat LDLC.
Yeah, big map. So, didn't they beat? I swear they beat G2 or Envy, if I remember correctly. They had.
Yes, I just said Envy.
Envy. You said LDLC.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, they're all French.
Well,
Sorry,
LDLC,
it was Envious, not
LDLC are, and they have one French player. But
LDLC was not, in fact.
No, I was
at that
confused.
event.
They haven't attended a DreamHack, right? But no, you're right. It was Envy. So, you know, there's evidence there that the Spanish team definitely has a talent individually, but not only in some forms, the actual team. KPI now under a different org, but still there, still somewhere, at least. And there's always potential we could see a rise in this scene, this country for sure, and this could be a great victory to set them up for that as well. Maybe, just maybe, we could see something. Yeah, 16-14 versus Envy on Train.
The opening map of the event as well.
I remember watching.
You know what's
that
crazy,
map,
actually, okay? I was thinking about this the other day. KPI, the domestic qualifier, they get there into the event, right?
Yeah.
And it's the very first event of the game. Or very first game of the event, rather, excuse me. And we almost watched this kind of like unbelievable upset where Envious lose versus KPI. You then go forward 2 DreamHacks, or 3 maybe, to DreamHack Montreal.
Yeah.
And we had, at the time, Gale Force, right? The Argentinian team, playing North on Cobblestone. That game nearly finished 16-14 for the underdogs, just like that one would have. But in fact, well, they lost, so. What are you doing on my computer, Hugo?
I'm looking at the qualification process for Wololos.
Oh.
Are we back in?
Yeah, with 5 rounds left to go and a bye on each side. That wasn't half bad.
Nice and quick. Thank you for everyone for sorting that out. And we're here. AWP up for Simple. No armor. But we have one for Easter as well. Ukraine again. Oh, sorry, Wololos again. The same setup. We've seen this before. Aggression on this CT side. The names are switched at the top. That will get fixed. But it's actually fast up for Ukraine. And everyone kicks things off. But Mixwell again. It's like rinse and repeat. He does it twice. 2 kills. And there we go. Wololos take the man advantage back into their favor and fall back to passive positions. Team Ukraine in an awkward spot.
Zeus peeking over, does see eStor. eStor fires off. And then decides not to fall back. I can't help but feel like that's because Kyrie's already got himself into the connector position, so they will have that bit of skewer if the T's were to cross paths with this defense. This is actually a very forward defense coming in from Wololos. They might never see this coming. Even if Simple picks up this kill, he shouldn't be able to catch the man behind him. There is the bomb carrier to cover his shoulder, but that was Zeus now down. Kyrie tries to reposition into the depths of the tunnels. Simple anticipating a repeat will jump over top of his smoke, tries to give chase, but the door's been shut. And in the meantime, Bondik's gotten closer to the bomb site. eStor waits for this, and here we have it. Dispatched 1 by 1. Team Ukraine now leaving Simple to clutch in a 1 versus 3. 30 seconds on the clock, puts him in a rough spot, and while he does have the bomb by his side, he just doesn't really have time. Wololos, they're gonna win another.
It seems to be the case. So much damage done by Simple. A kill, a nice chase onto the player lower. Kyrie down in the connector, and also a flick just hit. But it's not enough, as you say. And with Simple saving as well, without a bomb plant, this is a round now moving forward that Ukraine should be throwing in pistols. So Simple, he won't get a loss bonus to play with, but he will save the AWP. So that's actually, you know, usually with the rifle, it might not be worth it, because it means in 2 rounds' time when you buy, you don't have enough. But with Simple bringing in an AWP now and around that everyone else has pistols, they'll have armor as well, they have max loss. He'll be able to throw that gun over once he gets tagged or once he dies. So that AWP can now just be thrown between the entirety of this team, and there's a lot of AWPing power here as well. So certainly still something to watch out for. This one solo AWP, but they actually go for the buy. They don't have any utility behind it. That's a surprise to me. I'm shocked to see it, but hey, one smoke, full rifles. If they take the gunfights, they win them, it's their game.
Simple not even buy armor.
Didn't have loss, had no money saved. Was a full
Correct.
buy in the previous round.
Not even 1K left over. Poor guy. They have that man advantage. That's what scares me now. Team Ukraine trying to barrel their way forward on long. Zeus bringing the bomb up behind. Markelov could just play a late party peek. Probably going to be wary of any kind of presence inside connector, seeing as that's what kind of cost him in the last.
Oh no, here it is.
But now it's dire straits as Edward will head up long A. He's got two teammates behind him. A little bit of spacing to work with as well. Soker and Mixwell to try and clutch this back. They've certainly put up a fight. That fight might come to a close. Right now, Team Ukraine just burning down the clock, playing the time that they have, and Markelov doesn't spot it all the way to his right, so Mixwell mows it down to 1. If Soker comes up big, they could still win this round. Edward trying to clear the corners. They're going to start to line up. He comes out and he sprays for 3. Soker bringing it back again. And another round for the Spaniards. No way.
Every situation Ukraine get into, every time you think this is their map, they'll close this out. They've been sitting at 15 this entire half. And look at the coach, even he can't believe it. I certainly can't. Ridiculous. Soker, not that he's been quiet, but we've not seen him have the performance like he did up against Big. That makes up for it. That not only keeps Wololos in this map, but it also means they can go forward for another round up against Pistols, another opportunity to take themselves to 13. This is ridiculous, and what a play. Spray up from Soker, looks to try and repeat it again. He gets damaged, but not enough. Caught from Markelov exiting the connector, and e-spor as well. He's got to watch out. They're down a man, and still getting hounded. Running up to this M4 player. He's running out of ammo as well. Needs to get a kill, needs to get support. He's dead to Markelov. 2 kills up for Ukraine. No way. Of all the rounds they can win, it will be this. But again, never count out Wololos. They're still in this round.
But at this point, Ukraine, they're just going to pump the brakes. You'd think that they commit forward with that push into the A site.
Oh, no.
In fact, Wololos rotate up. Mixwell will be tested here. The entirety of Team Ukraine trying to gun him down. He stops the first, and he denies the plan. And Simple sectioned off. The push comes through the smoke, and Mixwell's traded by Kyrie. It's still the 2 versus 3 here, and the CTs need to bring it back. They drop the bomb. They clean it up. It's just Bondik, and he's pinned in behind the pillar. Flames by his feet and a CZ in his hands. An opportunity to take back the bomb as the CTs will reposition. So it is still an afterplant. He has the Kevlar, no aim punch, and damage to both CTs. He isolates the fights. He gets the first, he gets the peek, and he does fall back, swapping guns. On a quarter health, Kyrie needs to push up. He's got the kit and he has the smoke, but Bondik's got a chance. If he peeks and commits this fight, it's just gonna take a bullet, and it's again the Spaniards with a round that much closer now.
Will they ever take a convincing round? Will Ukraine ever win the game? We'll find out. This is ridiculous. The pistol rounds of Ukraine coming down to the 1v1s, as are the rifles. And again, another one for the Spanish. They pull it back. Not only for those who missed it, was it a 13-2 half, but Ukraine took the T-side pistol. 14-2 was the scoreline. And now, what are we at? 15-13? 14-2 to 15-13. This is a ridiculous match. And we're only in the first map, Connor. It's not even done. Pause coming out. Ukraine, they're having a chat. I don't blame them as well. We said at what, 15-6? Oh, you know, it's not worrying yet, but give it time. Wait till they get to 13, and they're here. They've reached that milestone. They may be able to pull off the full Monty. And Zeus very vocal. They've got a lot to say, clearly. And at this point, the morale, not only of Ukraine's got to be low, but of Wololos got to be high. They've done this twice before. They're looking to do it a third time. Overpass is the comeback map, apparently, of this event. And what a storyline.
And again, with 0 margin of error. Wololos, it was a very shaky round in that last one. It was just the pistols that nearly overwhelmed them. Even the round prior to that, they're down to just 2 players up. So it's not as though they've been in control of these last 2 rounds, and yet they still come out on top. You've got to give it credit. They themselves realize that they are skating on thin ice. Double op setup coming out from Wololos. Single op on Simple. And the CTs with a bit of a change up in their positioning here. They do throw both e-stor and Soaker over on long A. Kyrie was repositioned towards the back of bathrooms, but now they've actually pulled one player back. It's going to leave Soaker fully committed to the corner. They're hoping that e-stor can draw the attention, maybe get the pick, and that if Soaker decides to swing wide, he can then find additional frags off of it. But right now, the T's dangerously close. The first peak goes the way of Ukraine. 5 versus 4. Simple cleans the corner. Soaker cleans them both. Sprays it straight back. And now the CTs have one up. Team Ukraine, what's your answer?
Well, Zeus looks for an answer. Zeus looks for a quick trade flash up. He dodges it. Still bullets in the clip, and he looks to find the trade. But Soaker aggressive. He's hunting the frag. No need, but it works. Another kill for the man himself as he pulls Wololos back to a 4-on-2. And Ukraine last-ditch attempt to run into B. Time is low. Mixwell misses a shot, but there's rotations coming in through. The bomb needs to go down. It's forced too loud. Going to drop it, and Mixwell drops Bondic 2. Wololos 14 rounds here. They pull it all the way back to a very minimum of 30. In the map pick of Ukraine, the one that we questioned going into this one as well. Train's still ahead of us and Inferno if needed. Hell, with the fact that this is so close, 3 maps would not surprise me. But only 1 round needed for Ukraine. However, that's been the case for the last 10.
Another one of these rounds whereby somebody unsuspectingly from Wololos steps up. Had Soaker died at any point there after Simple gets the opening op frag. If you get both of those frags on the A bomb site, then you think, okay, maybe there's somebody's in bathrooms. But a player committed to the corner of long A with an op behind them, that's a very standard setup on that A site for overpass CT side. And that's one that I'm sure Team Ukraine would recognize very easily. You have 3 players then on long, seeing as Zeus was so close that could just charge towards that bomb site. You could even smoke off bathrooms and play for a bank after plan. You could leave your connector player to try to flank up behind them on B. He himself could be tasked with clearing out bathrooms after the fact that the bomb's gone down. I mean, that would have been such a fantastic opening had they cleaned up Soaker. But no, he holds his ground. He even chases back Zeus, who then just wanted to walk away with a 3-man push towards the B site. That's the setup they wanted. They're just going to go for that last-ditch effort into B, try to find the plant, something that doesn't seem too wild. And yet even that is minimized thanks to Soaker. Now it's e-stor posted up from Picnic. They never see that coming. Great angle. And as he falls back, he hits himself the second. He wants more, and he will with a 3rd and a 4th. It's e-stor all day. But Bondic puts the curtain on it. And Wololos have now put themselves in a prime position to force overtime from 14-2. Individual plays, not just from Mixwell and Lowell. e-stor steps up in the 30th. And we just had a discussion of how Soaker went big in the 29th.
Even Kyrie had his moments, took a one-on-one to keep himself in this game up against Bondic on that B-bomb site. Everyone has been playing well for Wololos. And Ukraine, they've fallen off massively. But they're not the only team to do it. But Bondic has to win this round now. It's a 1v4. It does not look doable. All it's going to take is one spot. And there's that spot. Kyrie on the site sees him jump up. We've got the stack up towards A with 2 players. The third close to rotate. And passive on B as well, giving up the bomb site. Soaker actually pushes up aggressively. Now knowing the Bondic's up on A, he can move around B freely without worry. But Bondic, he's got a huge task ahead of him, and he's got to start it off now. Time is low, 25 seconds, with players up towards A surrounding the bomb site. The bomb is going to be so hard to get down. He makes noise, and he can't help but doing so. He's got to run. Flash out, double peek, and Lau finds a kill. Wololos are going to overtime.
This is incredible. Incredible comeback. They've done it again. 12-3 to a 15-15 draw, 12-3 to a 16-14 win, and now 14-2 to at least an opportunity in overtime. And what's wild, of course, is that the Spaniards will stick to the CT side, putting them in a prime position to then just win it out on the switching of the halves.
And then all it takes is one on the T side. All it takes is one, Connor. If they can find a flawless first half, which does not surprise me at all, given the way the momentum is going, there's certainly an option that they could cleanly sweep, at the very least.
This poor coach.
This overtime.
You didn't get to see it, but hands on his face, Just so worried.
So much stress. Nothing he can do.
No.
Nothing at this point.
Literally nothing you can
he
do, but just try and keep your team as fixated on this win as you could. An emotional roller coaster, I'm sure, for the Spaniards, but this ride's not done just yet.
And even Ukraine setting up with full AKs, not even going for the orb, just in case of the money, the worry that they won't be able to buy up. They're preparing for the worst because it's certainly been happening the last 15 rounds. And they're going to speed up the pace back to El Clasico.
And this is, I think, a fantastic play. They did see many men over on A earlier on, but look at this. Kyrie gets aggressive. No way. Mixwell then cleans up with one. Lowell with a clean sweep. 5 guys up at the end of it. Team Ukraine, they go for a fast B play because think of the last 2 rounds that they saw in the regulation time, right? You have the 2-man setup over on long with the 3rd player inside of bathrooms. The next round directly after, you have e-spor pushing up through bathrooms as well. So you know that there's not necessarily any kind of a stack happening at that B bomb site. And so, Team Ukraine think, let's change up the pace. Let's hit them off guard. Let's just stampede our way into B. And even then, Wololos have 3 players towards that site. They go for a nice little bit of bout on a short control. Spraying through the smoke is Kyrie. Lowell locking down the pillar. What a great hold. A flawless hold. Not one frag found in the first round of the T side here from Ukraine. They've got 2 opportunities left.
And 9 rounds ago, they did the exact same thing at 15-7. Ukraine bursted the B bomb site. And what I said to you, Connor, is they can afford to do this because they have this buffer. But eventually, it may come back to haunt them. And it certainly has. 16-15, Wololos take the first round of OT. Simple back on the AWP, but he's already dead. Soka's found him out of absolutely nowhere. One of the key players for Ukraine has just been removed. And Wololos, a new setup. 4 players outside of the connector. So much presence. 1 man down towards B, but Ukraine not wanting to hit that again after the previous failure. Bondik pushes up. It's carried to find 2. Once again, they shut it down. And Wololos not even to drop a man. Edward alone, and in a 1v5. Is a save even an option at this point, or is he tilted enough to just go for this fight? I barely blame him. It's Wololos with everything to play for. Edward, he has to get something here, but it's again flawless for the Spanish. 17 rounds up. 1 more left of this half.
And look at the buy. It's going to be limited here. Bondik already coming in with just some grenades. He's going to be tasked being the utility man in this one. Wololos with another changeup. They throw 3 players over into connector because they see no aggression coming into that B site. Maybe because Ukraine were convinced to fall off. A beautiful setup there from Wololos where Kyrie's on an off angle. Lowell distracts them at the top of the staircase. They swing wide for cover thinking it's safe, and my goodness are they wrong. This time they go for an aggressive stance up on Fountain, and it's Mixwell with 2. Wololos looking for the clean sweep in overtime after a 14-2 comeback. You can't make this stuff up.
No, and this is the 3rd time we've seen it, Connor, and every single time we're in this situation, we said, surely it won't happen. This is not a realistic comeback. And again, up against the stomping monsters that are Ukraine, the firepower on this roster, the legends on this roster, and even they are susceptible to this comeback. 17, trying to make it 18 is Wololos as they look for a clean sweep on the CT side. Of their first half of overtime. It's their T side we're worried about, but can they make that job easier by only needing 1? It's looking likely. There's only 3 up for Ukraine, and Bondik's not even got a gun. They regroup, fall back towards A. Door not shut behind them, don't want to make noise. Actually wrap towards T-spawn for Bondik. Maybe a bomb drop, but the bomb drop by Simple. As Mixwell on the boost finds him, and now they reposition. No options given to Ukraine. At least Bondik will upgrade with an AK-47, but they've got a huge task ahead of them. Time is low. Players surrounding the bomb site as well. And Markelov not given an opening. Bondik here going to try and push up with him, but he's spotted by Soka. Fake peek out. e-spor caught, and it doesn't even matter. A flawless half of an overtime here for Wololos as they take 18.
Now we can't get ahead of ourselves.
No.
Their T-sides were weak. They'll have 3 rounds to try this. There's still a very possible situation whereby Ukraine can lock this down, but after this much of a comeback, Ukraine haven't been on the CT side in ages. 18 rounds to be exact.
Nor do they look ready to be.
Oh my goodness. And on Ukraine's map pick.
I questioned it, and for good reason.
How dare you choose overpass? Barcelona's a magical place for the Wololos.
This is why we need more UK lands. Maybe we'll do well.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Ooh. Big words. Fighting words. And fighting scoreline by Wololos. They look to go the full distance. One round is all that's needed. If they have a game plan, if they have anything to show, this is where they show it. Close it out here and now in the first round of their T side. Do not let Ukraine gain traction. Ukraine have not won a round, Connor, in what? 13. They've lost 13 in a row. Including overtime, that is. Do not let Ukraine get around.
That's horrifying. That's soul-crushing, really. But unfortunately for them, they're not able to just walk away at this point. They've got another half of overtime to play. Team Ukraine back onto the CT side. They will opt in with an AWP. Simple to invest. Of course, e-spor going to have his on the offense. Now, I don't feel like we've seen as much impact from him on the T side. We haven't seen that much impact from Wololos on the T side, so that is fair. With a deep Molotov, there will be no presence from the T's over on long. Even positioning on playground is minimal. One man over there. That's going to be Soker. Currently, it's the short control that belongs to the terrorist side. It's drawn out a rotation down into the B bomb site. And even Edward falls back into the backside of the bathrooms. Lowell is going to be trying to find an angle, and Zeus jumps right in. Oh, Wololos with a man advantage now on the T side. Looking for the 14-2 comeback. Right here, right now. CT is going to try to disrupt this presence, but with this boost, they spot nothing because Kyrie and Co, they're closer. Molotov to try and stop the men on Monster, but now it's just going to be the flooding of the site. Bondik's able to find one frag, gets back into the cover, and his teammates still hesitant to come down. They need to lock this just the two of them. Bondik continuously firing off, peppering all three of these players from Wololos, but Soker gets a kill. Bondik's on 16. That's a man advantage and the bomb plant. Simple can't find any angles because smokes blanket the bomb site. Bondik's trying to find any kind of an angle, and he dies to e-spor. Wololos on the cusp of the comeback, and they win it. They've done it. On the opening map of the BO3, what an energizing win for them.
And look how calm Mixwell is, calm and collected. Wololos, a team that defies all logic in Counter-Strike. They did it to Space Soldiers, a 13-2 half. Sorry, 12-3 half. They came back to a draw. They did it versus BIG in the group stages as well. A 12-3 that came back to a 16-14 victory. And now a 14-2 to Ukraine, lost in overtime. Wololos, what on earth is this team? I have no idea.
And this is a team that even in the group stage of the tournament, we kind of put an asterisk next to, seeing that Mixwell came over from North America in order to compete, and we wondered, hey, maybe they can accomplish something. When they perform so well in groups, we chalked it up to just fantastic CT sides, because in the group stage, it is just BO1. And sure enough, it's one map in a series. We can't get ahead of ourselves, but history repeats itself. This is incredible. What an awesome map from them. I'm sure that's just so bolstering when it comes to confidence.
The issue is we haven't seen their other maps, right? We haven't, not in the same way. We've seen 3 games on Overpass now, if I'm correct. And all 3 of them they've won or drawn. And all 3 of them have come back from a ridiculous scoreline. Maybe their CT sides are good on other maps. Hopefully they're as good, but we don't know. However, we're going to find out. Will Wololos be able to upset this series? Will they be able to take down